guess we should do what he says. This is Playmates' new release of the classic version of Voltron. But yeah, I kept saying I wasn't going to get this thing to myself, and of course I ended up seeing it at, I think I found most of it at Target, everything except for the yellow lion, which I had to order online. The reason I was really hesitant is that all the combining Voltrons, they always have something just kind of off about them that either makes them really disappointing or really difficult to display. Like I have the Maddie collector one that stands like 2 feet tall, and that thing is both really disappointing and really difficult to display. In fact, I just took it down recently because it always looks like it's about to fall over. So I figured I'd give this one a shot. After all, it's a much more manageable 16 inches. Playmates has generally been, really solid construction in their toys, at least in the older things. I haven't watched any reviews about this thing, so figured I'd give it a shot myself. And of course, we got to start with the Black Lion. They did add a speech feature for him.
Activate laser blade!
Yeah. Back it doesn't have much. It does talk about how Keith is the leader and is the pilot of the Black Lion. Have any pictures of Keith at all, just pictures of the fully combined robot, and yeah, nothing much to speak of on the box. He did kind of the retro 80s grid thing that's kind of the go-to now when anybody thinks 80s, they put grids on stuff. So on the inside I had a little pamphlet about the Voltron Legendary Defender line. Like there's an 8-inch die-cast one, Ultimate Voltron, basic action figures, and then another 16-inch Voltron of the new design. Like, see, this is what I was talking about. Like, he's just got these big fat knees and Popeye-like forearms now because of the roundness of everything, and it's super tiny little waist, and the wings are way too high on the back, in my opinion, and like, it doesn't have the cool crest that he has on the front anymore, and I don't know. It's just not, I'm just not really a fan of the look of the new thing. And there's a one-sided instruction booklet about forming Voltron that usually I've found of the many Voltrons that I do have, it's always the legs that are the biggest pain. And because of his combining nature, all I can really do is ever stand like straight like this, so we'll see if they can get any kind of any motion out of him at all, and how difficult the legs are to put in. So here's the Black Lion, eventually snipped out of his container. He's really strapped in there with twist ties and zip ties and rubber bands, and it was just not fun to get out. So first impressions is he's got a bit of heft to him. He's not overly heavy. He is almost entirely plastic. There's a very large and prominent on-off switch there that controls his voice button on the side here with his supposedly 60 different phrases. There's pretty limited bending in the joints of his little lion legs, so getting a dynamic pose of the lion itself is going to be hard. I've always liked the sitting pose that you see in the credits, at least in Go Lion, but you can't really do that with this guy, because that's always a problem with the Black Lion, is he ends up being so beefy and huge to get the proportions correct. I was impressed that there is actual hip articulation here to the sides, and thigh, and these are all very, very solid ratchets, so that's really promising for forming Voltron. And his chest crest lights up when you push the sound effect button. He does seem to be mostly just colored plastic. There isn't a whole lot of paint apps. There is on the face here, and you can see the kind of heavy-handed paint on the yellow here, where it's actually kind of discolored and already marked. But even the tail is on a ratchet. The ratchets is everywhere. How about the wings? The wings are a problem on a few things. No, they're ratcheted too. So joint construction is really promising so far. Alright, next up is Voltron's left leg, the yellow lion, which is my personal favorite lion. And also it seemed to be the hardest one to find. And it talks about how he is piloted by Hunk, the brownie yet soft-hearted mechanic of the Voltron Lion Force. Now, this guy looks like he's decked out with accessories. You can see him packed in there, like the missile launcher, the jaw blade, and his spike shooter thing that goes on his one of his shoulders. Interesting that he comes with all of this while the Black Lion came with nothing. Probably to keep the Black Lion's price down, even though he is the most expensive already. So here is the yellow lion. Oh, he doesn't have the ears that open like on the original the big Matchbox one, but he does have this part moves. His kind of mortar cannon on his back. His tail flips up and stores really well for leg mode. Some Voltrons have really kind of tail problems, but not so much this one. Strange feature is that his jaw is spring loaded, so it really snaps shut. The insides of the forelegs are hollow. I assume to just kind of save some weight and save some money. There's not a lot of detailing on the lions, really. It does give them kind of more simple cartoony look. I think they were trying to replicate the look of the robot in the cartoon more than like some of the more high-end ones do. I did want to point out on his jaw blade, whoever did this yellow paint, it's real bad. Like there's you know, nicks out of it and just spots where there wasn't any coverage, and then spots where the paint pooled and ran off. So that is something to take note if you're thinking about collecting this. And like in here, there isn't even any spray for the yellow. It's just gray bare plastic still. So there he is, equipped with his accessories. It doesn't really bother me so much that the accessory paint is so crummy. I'm not really a fan of all the weapons and stuff to stick on him, because in the cartoon it's never the lions that get the job done. It's always Voltron and the blazing sword. So these are just kind of extra in my opinion. I did think this is kind of funny. For the double missile launcher, they put both of them on one peg joined together. It's pretty cheap. Okay, moving along is the right leg, the Blue Lion, which is piloted by Her Royal Highness Princess Allura. It was originally piloted by Sven, who was part of the group of 5 explorers, and he is, I can't remember what happens to him in the American version, but he's definitely killed in Go Lion. Okay, there is Blue Lion with all accessories. This is an interesting detail here for the firing mechanism on, although if you've got the jaw blade in, it's just gonna shoot right into there. Kind of funny that the missile actually sticks out the back, it's so long. You can hear those beefy ratchets in the legs there again. This thing has just come, I think it's like a disc shooter of some sort if I remember right. Some kind of more problems with the yellow paint on the eyeball there. The top of the lion's head is almost completely without detail, which some of the more high-end Voltrons have tons of detail on top of the Blue Lion's head. They also omitted the big numbers that were on like the Matchbox version and stuff. Looks more like the cartoon without them, but it does make for just kind of long, uninterrupted, detailless fields of color. And here we have the Green Lion, which is the left arm of Voltron, piloted by Pidge. Pidge is the worst. Here is the Green Lion, which so far, the lion itself has some of the cleanest paint applications on it. Can't say the same for the accessories. Like on his missile launcher, there's just a giant miss on this green mask probably. But I really like how vibrant and crisp this is. The kind of red back plate. Very cool. You can get some great poses with these guys because of the elbow ratchet in their midsections. And there is also rotation there. That would be good. Looks like in terms of wrist movement, we only have side to side. There is no up and down, left or right. It's just pivoting. The tails on the arm lions are much different than usual. Like, they actually just retract back into the body and just kind of flop around, which is kind of weird. Seems like not the best design there. Green Lion also came with what they've labeled as Voltron Shield, which is very hollow in the back and kind of dull, matte, with a very matte finish, except for the gloss in the center cross there. And lastly is the Red Lion, which is the right arm, piloted by Lance, the hot-headed ace flyer of the Lion Force. And here's the Red Lion with all his accessories. Not too much we haven't already seen. More problems with the yellow paint, of course. More clumsy yellow application on the jaw blade there. You can see it didn't quite get in all the nooks and crannies. But I really like the color of red they picked for the base model there. It's very bright, very shiny. And the red lion came with the blazing sword, which is just one chunk of semi-gloss plastic, no paint on it at all. There's a nice tab that'll tab into the top of the lion's mouth when it holds it, which is nice, but kind of lackluster presentation. I mean, it's just one solid chunk of very Playmate style semi-flexible plastic, so the blade is definitely not straight. So here's all the lions together. They look pretty decent as lions. They are not superposable due to just the limitations of the joints, but they do look cool all lined up together. And there's only one thing left, so let's form Voltron. Okay, first up, let's get Black Lion ready. So as with...
The galaxy is about to be secure.
Whoops.
Form Voltron!
Yeah, that's the idea. First you gotta rotate his arms around, so he's got the red crest in the front. Compartments on his underarms open, which is nice. This can often be one of the most unpleasant parts is Black Lion, but this one is designed quite well to stow the legs. You can see the huge ratchets up in there. Legs are stored. The very solid bottom legs in position. Point his toes. So many ratchets. It's really kind of satisfying. Very mechanical sounding. The wings kind of deploy as one unit, which is interesting, and then they kind of separate and lock into place. That's really nice. That's a great design. And the tail stows really nicely too. So far, really satisfying transformation and not difficult like some of them. What does he have to say about it?
Form Voltron!
Yep, alright, so we'll get Yellow Lion ready here. Feet in. Very easy. Front feet in. Also very easy. Head tilts forward. Tail down. Yeah, super simple. Compartment for the leg is just hidden with a spring trap door here. See how this goes?
Yellow Lion, leap it into action!
Wow, okay, so it did that automatically without pushing the button. So it does have some kind of sensor about what's going on with the other lions. This is pretty cool. Blue Lion. That's pretty cool that they have the voices of each character too. Alright, and lastly, here's Red Lion ready to go.
Ready to form Voltron! Activate interlocks! Dynatherms connected! Infracells up! Mega thrusters are go! Form feet and legs! Form arms and body, and I'll form the head. Go Voltron! Let's go!
Wow, so it's very loud, and the contextual assembly thing is pretty cool. I wonder if it says different things now that you're...
Hitch, talk to me. Are you hurt? No, I can handle it.
So yeah, it does have different phrases once it's all assembled. So there you have it. There is the 16-inch Playmates 1984 Voltron all assembled. He is surprisingly posable for his size. The shoulder joints are kind of the most disappointing part because, as you can see, to turn the arm you have to turn the entire assembly. But I mean, most Voltrons, if you tried to do that while it was standing, it would topple over and fall apart and break into a million pieces. But he is very sturdy. I did have to turn him off because every time you move the arms, he started doing the entire activation sequence over and over. So that was a little irritating. For the price, I'd say it's probably the best Voltron you can get for that price, especially now since you know, like the Toonami Voltrons are quite expensive, and the Soul of Chogokin Bandai one is just ridiculously expensive. The Matty Collector one shouldn't cost any money at all. So yeah, I do think his torso is a little long, and the speaker right above his belt kind of messes with his overall look in the center trunk. But very plasticky, but not a bad Voltron. Let me know what you think is the best of the Voltrons out there if you're a collector too. Yeah, I have a mountain of little snippets of things to discard from unboxing these guys, but there you go. So thanks as always for watching. Next up, I think we're going to do another movie toy line or Bucky O'Hare. I haven't quite decided yet, but I'll see you in the next series.